So without further ado, let's get started, Pat. You want to move us on to the first slide of the human side of cybersecurity, risks and challenges in dental practices, and welcome everyone to our first webinar session. So I thought I would kick this off simply by sharing a story. We have a lot of dealings with the dental community across the country. And I was privy to a conversation in the last week or so where a story was shared with me about what occurred in a dental practice. And I thought it was relevant to share it here because it could happen to anyone. Imagine you're a dental practice that has just gone through perhaps a renovation. You've added some new chairs, maybe some radiography equipment, diagnostic equipment, and you're holding off on doing the transfer payment to your supplier until everything is signed off on. And that sign off comes, you're prepared to transfer the funds, and lo and behold, unbeknown to you or any of your employees, a hacker has been sitting within your network, looking at emails, looking at financial transactions, and they're able to insert themselves in that wire transfer when it takes place and siphon off that money and send it to their own account. The devastation that dental practice owner felt knowing that their $50,000 was gone, but not to the intended recipient, was significant. So today's topic is extremely timely, and we thank you all for being here. And we hope that you gain valuable insights and perspective that are going to help you to protect yourselves, your practice, your employees, and your patients. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Patrick to walk us through the primary sections of our webinar today.
Thank you very, very much, David, for the introduction and for the story. And by the way, as David mentioned, it is a true story. So this is something that, if you think about it, can affect any of us. You as a practice owner, obviously more possibly than me, but it can affect any small, medium, or even large businesses in Canada in general. So when you look at the risk and challenges that we're displaying here, some of them will seem very obvious. So the first one, for example, losing money, seemed very obvious following the story again that David just mentioned, but this is happening on a regular basis throughout, again, the country. Cyber fraud is something that does happen. And again, there are different ways that it can impact you, but money-wise, it's all about losing money directly or indirectly. Now, a further challenge than that is the exfiltration. So somebody copying your personal or your patient's data. Now, that can seem far-fetched, but it does happen pretty often also. Now, when this happens, guess what? You're liable of that information just because technically you are responsible for it. And the bad guys wants to steal it because they can resell it on the dark web or the black market, if you prefer, for a lot of money. Ransomware attack is certainly something you've heard about, and I'm probably not the first one to tell you about that, but this is also something that can impact you in multiple ways. Just imagine somebody getting into your environment, getting into your network, and either encrypting all the data, rendering it useless for you, but making sure that you cannot access any data and thus cannot perform the services you want to perform to your patients. That is something pretty bad, and it does happen very often. A few years ago, a clinic here in my own region was victim of that, and they were down for 6 weeks. So imagine 6 weeks without being able to serve your patients and without even being able to contact them because your whole system is down and you have no way of knowing who was supposed to come to your office or not. That can all end up being a lawsuit for you or being sued by your customers or by your suppliers. Oops, sorry. I think I went back by mistake. If you look at it, laws and regulations is also a challenge for all of you, mostly because countries have taken a step further into protecting patients' data, but also personal information. And now those laws and regulations are mandating you to protect that information at all time. So Canada has different laws, but also at the provincial level, you have laws and regulation that mandate you again to protect that data. If you think your provider is helping you doing that, that might be true. But at the end, you're still liable for protecting that information and you're still responsible for it. So now, how can you protect your clinic? Well, the first one is, or the first step, if you want, is to trust your IT provider. All of you, I'm sure, are using one or possibly multiple information technology provider to help you connect your computers together, to help you deploy new software, to help you manage your computers and make sure they're running all the time. Well, these companies are very good at what they do, and they know how to do the connection and how to deploy the software and maintain them. The thing is, even if you trust them and they're doing a very good job, that doesn't mean that they're an expert in cybersecurity. So the suggestion here is to find a good independent cybersecurity expert to help you. Use them as a trusted advisor. This way, they can help you challenge a little bit what your IT provider is doing and making sure that your practice is properly protected and your risks are as low as you want them to. Now, talking about risk, a cyber insurance is another way to protect yourself against different cyber threats. You all are aware of your insurance policy. You all have different types of insurance protecting your business. But the thing is, most insurers have developed a new program in the past 10 or 15 years now called the cyber insurance program, carved towards protecting your business and again, paying for the impact that a cyber attack can have on you. Now, talk to your broker about a cyber insurance and verify if your coverage or your actual policy is already covering you for some of these cyber attacks. My experience is that most of cyber attacks are not covered by general policies, so you need to possibly take a look at a good cyber insurance. All of that being said, training your employees is a crucial step. And this is why we're here today, because as David mentioned, most flaws and most attack come through the employees and come through your trusted employees. If you want to make sure that they're defending your enterprise property, you want to train them. Now, the thing is, training seems like a complicated perspective. So what we did is we created a managed solution for you to help you train your employees and make sure that you're not spending a lot of time doing it. So we know from experience with multiple dental practices that dental practice owners and employees are extremely busy. You all have 10,000 tasks to perform every day, and you don't want one more task to be added to your list. So by creating that managed solution, we offer you less effort on your side, on your time, but more time for you to focus on business and on your patients. So our solution allows you to have a continuous, ongoing cadence. So the thing is, what we did is through that managed service, we provide you with the ability to send or to propose training or small training information, less than 7 minutes per month for each employee to learn more about cybersecurity. And instead of them spending 2 hours, 3 hours, or maybe 4 hours in a training session trying to learn about that and then forgetting most of it within the next 24 hours, we're going bit by bit on a regular basis to make sure that, first of all, again, they understand the message, but second of all, they have time to get the information and make sure that they change their behavior about that. Because the solution is accessible anywhere, they can watch it obviously at the office, but they can also take that at home if they wanted to, and they can view it whenever they want. By using the frequent micro-learning, we have better retention. That solution allows us to measure the human behavior, but also measure the risk. So what we did is we created a cyber score that when the user goes into the platform and learn about things, we can measure his knowledge or her knowledge, and then use that to redirect the users to maybe something that is more specific to their need or to the clinic need. By using the managed solution that allows you to receive reports on a regular basis to see what is the engagement of the user, and the engagement includes the interactive cyber threat simulation. So we create simulations within the tool to test the users, but also to verify that they understand the knowledge that they have. The tool is totally culturally agnostic. So we decided to use cartoon characters, cats and mice, in order for people to not feel threatened by the message, but to use also humor for them to remember the message. When we sat down with the psychology department of Université Laval to try to find out a way to send a message properly, but also to teach users without, again, them feeling threatened by the solution, they are the one who suggested that we should use cartoon characters, and this is why we did that. So the whole solution being managed offers you, obviously, the way to change the behavior of your users, so lowering your cybersecurity risk, because you have to remember that your users are your first line of defense. They see what's happening in the clinic. They understand that if something is abnormal, something is anomalous, then they should possibly report it. But now, by using the training, they also know how to react. And that can be also extended to family members. So you can use our tool to extend it to your clinic's family members. So this way they feel protected, not just at the clinic level, but also at home with their family. There's also an option in there that we call leak check, which is the ability for a user to find out if, for example, their email address or their username password for a certain website or an application has been hacked and has been leaked to the dark web. So maybe if you never heard of the dark web, it's a place where the bad guys use to trade information, like the black market, if you want. So if the username and password has been leaked, sometimes it is traded on the dark web. And what we do is we use tools to be able to find it and show it to the users. And I'll be able to show you that in the next few seconds. So let's go quickly here in a demo of the platform, and that will give you the ability to see what I mean by that. So the platform is very simple to see and to use, but also to understand. Again, we wanted to make it as friendly as possible, but as useful as possible. And as I said, as a business owner, you don't need to manage it and you don't need to go into the platform and configure it or anything like that. We do all that for you. At the center of the system, the user sees their own cyber score. The cyber score, again, is a representation of their knowledge and their behavior, as we can measure it by looking at their behavior within the tool. When the user clicks on Progress Tracker, for example, they can see in which field of cybersecurity, for example, their knowledge is better than other and where they need to improve. So for example, at the network and data security level, I need to improve a little bit. So if I click on it, then it will show me different things I can do to learn about this topic if I wanted to, but also to get and to improve my skills in that specific topic. Now, everything that you see here being learned, watch, or even practice, if there's anything to practice on, can be reached on the menu that you see here on the left-hand side. So what we did is we created a way, again, for the user to feel that they can learn in multiple fashions. And when we use the managed service, we spoon-fed the users bit by bit about this information, and they are not overwhelmed, let's say, with the information. So when they click on watch, for example, they have different videos that they can go and take a look at. Again, this is my demo environment, so obviously I have access to a lot of videos, but normally what we would do is we would possibly ask the user to go and take a look at one or maybe two videos, and same thing with tips and tricks. Each of these videos are less than 2 minutes. The goal, again, is to not take a lot of time, but to go to a subject or a specific subject that can impact them. So if we go back to what David said in his story about somebody stealing money, etc., we have different videos about that, and one of them is called the CEO fraud. So if you don't mind, let's take a look at this video. Again, it's less than 2 minutes, so it shouldn't take too long.
Another beautiful day unfolds at the Mouse family's home. These are ideal conditions for work, especially as Mama Mouse is riding high. Her company, Crackling Cheese, is thriving. Suddenly, her business partner contacts her via email. Mrs. Sarissima is on a business trip across the globe and requests an urgent, large sum transfer to a new supplier's bank account to finalize a deal. Mama Mouse must act swiftly before the banks close, or they'll miss out on this golden opportunity. No, Mama. Hold on a moment. This scam is known as the President's Fraud. It involves impersonating a business partner or the company's boss and requesting sensitive information or funds through email, text, or other means. The hackers create a sense of urgency and primarily target individuals with access to such information. Think before you act, Mama Mouse tells herself. She texts her business partner to verify the authenticity of the request. Mama Mouse did well to check because it turns out that the message was not from her partner. Luckily, she had a narrow escape. Trust no one when it comes to transferring money or sharing sensitive information. Always verify the requester by contacting them directly as soon as possible. Remain cautious, and cyber criminals will have to work hard before seizing you in their clutches.
So there you go. One quick message, very easy to understand again, and again, non-threatening for the regular users. If they want to know more about that subject, they can just go and learn. And again, we have different capsules, if you want, on the subject where they can dig deeper. And for example, about deep fakes. So can you trust video calls nowadays? And again, we want to make sure that the users know about that. So when they click on it, in this case, it's not just a video, but there are different panels that the users can go through. All of these panels are narrated. And again, the message is very easy to understand and easy to go through. By looking at the message, again, the users can go through it on a regular basis. They can just navigate to the next panel if they want to. In this case, there's only 6 panels, so probably less than a minute to watch that. Now, once they watch something, and again, I'm going to let it play for the whole scene, what happens is that the system can validate that the user really went through it or not by looking at the time it spent, but also to see if the user was aware of the threat or not. And again, at the end, when it's completed, we also make other suggestions of things that they can take a look at, or they can just exit that portion. Now, if we go back home, again, at this point, my cyber score will reflect my new knowledge level. So I went, in this case, because I already saw it from 564 to another 564, but the more I use it, the more I play, and the more I get my cyber score to rise. Now, all of this allows us to also create what we call interactive labs to test the user skills about choosing passwords or phishing emails or trying to find things that is wrong in a specific environment. And when they go back home, like I said, they can watch their cyber score rise, they can verify their progress tracker, and if they click on the profile, then they can even compete against other team member if they want to. But as I said, they can extend that to their own family member by inviting family member to join a personal group. So this is not something that will be part of the report or the monthly report you see, but still by inviting their family members, they can share information with family members and make sure that their family is also cyber protected. The last thing I mentioned was the leak check. So I'm just going to see it very quickly. So in leak check, a user can enter one or multiple personal email address and validate if that email address, first of all, really belongs to them or not. But second of all, if there is anything related to that email address available on the dark web. So again, remember the dark web is the place where the bad guys exchange information all the time. So by just clicking on it, what the system does is it goes and validate that information in the dark web and bring back information. Now, please don't take the information you see on the screen into account. This is all fake information for the purpose of the demo. But in this case, for example, if I'm using this email address, coco1234@gmail.com, and I use pink1234 in a website as my password, guess what? The bad guys have a copy of it now. So if I know that, and I use the same password, for example, to get access to patient data in the clinic, maybe I should go and change the password right away because somebody else knows about that password. So that being said, again, the tool, very easy to use, and the goal is to protect you against cyber fraud, but different types of cyber attack. The more your user know about these type of fraud, the more they know about the different threats, the more they can help you protect your business and lower your risk. So we heard about the clinic that was a victim of a large fraud. And yes, this is a true story. So something that can happen to any of us. We talked a little bit about different solutions proposed here. And please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any question or any request about that, or if you think you need some help. And we talked about Lumi, our inline solution that allows you to train your users and teach them about cybersecurity best practices. So if you want to contact us, please use that email address, which is a generic email address for us. Most of us are connected to that email address. So that means that we receive emails sent to it. We all have individual email address. Please don't worry about that. But if you write to info@awee.tech, we'll be glad to answer your questions again at any time. If you go on our website, www.awee.tech, you'll find out under packages that we have different packages for the number of users you have in your own clinic. And if you want to learn more about that, we have information. And because you participated into that webinar and we were glad that you were there, so you can also use a checkout code at the, a discount code at the checkout to be able to receive a 20% discount on a 1 year or 3 year subscription to our managed service. If you have any questions, please use the chat box again, or you can stay online and you can unmute yourself at this point. Thank you very, very much for listening to us, and hopefully you learned something today.
Pierluigi, are there any questions in the chat that we need to address? And you're on, there you go.
So, yep, David, I see one question that we had asked and answered earlier with respect to the access to the recording. So yes, obviously, when we will follow up, there will be that link, and then we'll be sure to include that. I'm not seeing anything else in the chat for now. So yeah, folks are more than invited to drop any questions in the chat, or I guess just raise your hand or unmute.
Anyone? Please don't be shy.
Well, you may have questions once you go to our website. Please go ahead and check out the managed solution packages. Reach out to us if you have any additional questions. And stay tuned for more correspondence through both the CDA and provincial associations like the BCDA that we have relationships with. And we'll be bringing more tools, insights, and perspective to you in the coming weeks and months. Thank you all so much for your time, and have a great day.